teacher decided that she didn't like what I was doing, what I was creating. She was mad that I was spending most of my time in the design studio working on Photoshop rather than working on my fine art skills, which I already had a background in. And she said, if you don't start putting your focus into your artwork and less time focused on boys and design, you're never going to go anywhere. You're never going to amount to anything. And she said I could pretty much kiss my art career goodbye, which resulted in a lot of tears. And so I kind of had this attitude right from high school of I want to prove her wrong. I want to become an artist. I want to start a design career, and I'm not going to let her stop me. And I'm going to show her that I am going to become a household name someday.
Today's creator is Anna McNaught, a world-renowned digital artist and creator. Anna is a Photoshop master whose surreal images have captivated a global audience, and her passion for teaching has inspired countless others. Just soon after recording this episode, Anna was hired by Adobe as a senior design evangelist. In today's episode, Anna discusses her path to becoming a digital artist, her passion for teaching, and her mindset for success. Hey Anna, how's it going? Thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm super excited to talk to you. Every time we're in person, I feel that we have like hour, 2 hour long conversations. So I couldn't wait to have you on the podcast because I think that we're going to have a lot of fun and it's going to be both entertaining, but also very educational for people listening. So I'm very excited to talk to you about your story and who you are. Talking about that, why don't you let us know a little bit about yourself? How would you describe yourself? Because I know you have a lot of commas after your name. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's something that I was like, we no longer have to be a one person title. We can have tons of commas, and I sure have a ton of commas. So, but to describe myself in a nutshell, I am a digital artist, a photographer, a designer, a world traveler, a plant lover. And I kind of, to sum it all up, I studied photography and design in college and fell in love with it and worked the corporate life for a little while and decided to start my own business. And I quickly became known for my surreal digital art that I create in Photoshop. I started teaching other people how to do that and have built a whole business around that. So that's kind of the very quick sum up of me.
You do it all. And we were talking off air, and one of the things that I admire you, not only as a creator, artist, and all of that, most is your mindset. I think that in order to be at the level of success that you have, making a living out of your passion, you have to have a certain mindset. And I think you definitely have that. And as I mentioned to you earlier off air, I was doing a little bit of research about you. And I found something very interesting that I don't think I knew. And if you told me, I forgot. So I'm sorry. But I read that when you were just in school, you had a teacher, if I'm not mistaken, who said some pretty nasty things about you becoming an artist, basically telling you that you will never amount to anything, much less become an artist or designer, which when I read that, I was like, oh my God, what kind of teacher would say that to someone, anybody? So
I know.
Tell me a little bit about that story, but more importantly, I'm assuming that maybe even, put this desire in you to prove them wrong, I assume. So I want to talk more about that, but I want to hear the whole story and then how your mindset handled that situation.
Yes. Oh my God. It's so funny because everybody who knows me really well has heard that story at some point, whether they've read it or have heard me bitch about it for years. It's like, okay, Anna, time to get over it. You've been out of high school for how long? But yes, I would say it was a big kind of catalyst that pushed me forward in my art career. And basically, my art teacher decided that she didn't like what I was doing, what I was creating. She was mad that I was spending most of my time in the design studio working on Photoshop rather than working on my fine art skills, which I already had a background in. And she said, if you don't start putting your focus into your artwork and less time focused on boys and design, you're never going to go anywhere. You're never going to amount to anything. She refused to write a college letter for me. She refused to help me get into any schools. And she said I could pretty much kiss my art career goodbye, which resulted in a lot of tears and me walking down to the principal's office to actually, she sent me to the principal's office, and then I went down there and told him that she was harassing me. So then he ended up on my side. I think I talked back to her. I am luckily forgetting the details at this point, but yeah, and so I kind of had this attitude right from high school of I want to prove her wrong. This is something that I want to do. I want to become an artist. I want to start a design career, and I'm not going to let her stop me, and I'm going to show her that I am going to become a household name someday. So that was the beginning of that, and then I have been slowly working on trying to get that out of my mind so that it doesn't hold me back as well.
Right. I do think that to a degree, those type of situations help certain kinds of people push forward. I can speak for me as an example. I have several situations like that. I mentioned some of the podcasts where somebody has said a negative thing, and my entire being is like, I'm going to prove this person wrong, and then it helps to get to the next level. It's not always good, and people react to situations differently. But I do think that with certain people, it definitely pushes them and drives them. So you mentioned that you went to school in LA. Is that where you went to school?
No, I went to Savannah College of Art and Design,
okay, cool.
and then transferred to Ithaca College.
Oh, got
in
it.
New York.
But you lived in LA at some point, from my
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So Ithaca had a LA program, and that sent me out there for an internship. And then after college, I loved it so much that I moved out there and lived there for 6 years and met my now husband out there.
James. Yeah.
Yeah.